I'm talking with Mark Helpfinger, the CEO of PCCW Global. Mark, here at the Total Telecom Festival, you've just chaired a session on cloud infrastructure.
Correct.
What were some of the main findings?
Well, one of the interesting pieces of information, I think, is that there are different definitions of what is cloud infrastructure. Those who are coming from the applicational side, from the virtual side, so to speak, of applications, view infrastructure as a set of software stack capabilities, and those coming from the transport-based network layer view infrastructure slightly differently. And I think that the lesson is that when we're using nomenclature in a changing environment, we need to be cognizant of the disciplines in which the people are coming from, and to assure that we can create a common view of understanding so that we're able to manage our discussion around cloud, transport, quality of service in a helpful manner for the entire industry.
What do you see as the difference between the cloud-based providers and the traditional network providers?
I think that it's not so much a difference as both are certainly challenging the end user with new services, with innovation, and with capability. And it seems that the discussion may be centering around how to qualify what is QoS, what is the quality of service that's delivered. It is a truism, I think, that we discovered in the session that I chaired, that hardware-based networks are shifting increasingly to software-based networks. As applications then evolve in that software-based infrastructure, they're taking on an applicational nature that can be cloud-based without the transport layer, or cloud-based with the transport layer. And if a user, whether consumer or enterprise, is choosing to take their cloud-based application divorced from the transport layer, they may be challenged in ascertaining where is the quality of service for that applicational capability being truly managed.
And what's PCCW Global doing in that space at the moment?
So we've thank you for asking that. But we've been running an avid program internally in our infrastructure that is shifting our hardware-based environment, particularly around the IP layer, into a software-defined network layer. We've been at that since 2011. Recently, we announced that in 2016, we'll be taking commercial steps to allow our enterprise users to provision their own capacity on our network and to create effective on-demand capability for their infrastructure. So not only will a user now be able to provision a cloud-based application, such as compute and storage, but they'll also be able to independently provision the connectivity to get to that cloud-based application. And I think that that's going to be quite unique. It required us to shift our billing environment to a variable infrastructure so that customers are no longer taking fixed annual recurring charge connectivity requirements, but rather the billing structures will allow us to offer customers to bill literally by the minute, not just for the compute and storage, but also for the connectivity components from point A to point B, including the volume of bandwidth which is chosen to deliver the applicational value. That's a huge undertaking, and we see that as quite critical in terms of moving forward into the software-defined network. More importantly, though, we have been evangelizing to some extent in the industry that we believe that it is important not only for ourselves to do that in our own network for our customers, but a wholesale commercial approach needs to be taken among service providers so that ultimately a user who connects to our network would also be able to provision their capability across another network, a partner network, and to create a wholesale monetization. And optimistically, perhaps too optimistically, we would hope that that would also be possible not just across transport infrastructures, but also across cloud-based applicational infrastructures.
That sounds incredible. Now, you guys have got a reputation for innovation already. Is this taking it to a whole new level?
Well, we're hopeful. To be honest, we're a smaller service provider in a sea of many who today are a mix of physical network-based service providers, application-based service providers, and whether or not our voice can be heard will perhaps depend upon the economic logic of global wholesale monetization of retail-based requirements. We're hopeful that our approach will be adopted, or perhaps some version of it, and we're certainly flexible. I don't think that any one player in such a dramatically evolving market and evolving period of technological change has the monopoly on truth, but I do believe that we need to be moving from legacy thought, both from a commercial perspective at the wholesale layer and the retail layer, and to some extent also internally in the way we organize ourselves as companies.
Fantastic. Well, look, thanks for sharing that with us, and thanks for
Pleasure.
being here this
It's
week.
good to see you. Thank you very much. It's great to be here again.